Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your wigs because what you're about to hear just shattered the entire love and hip-hop universe. Picture this. Bright studio lights blazing, cameras rolling, the cast of the hottest reunion special of the year gathered on set in Atlanta. Everything was supposed to be glitz, glam, and carefully scripted shade. Until Kirk Frost and his wife Rasheeda Frost turned the entire stage into an all-out war zone. One minute they're sitting side by side like the power couple we've watched for over a decade. The next minute Kirk is on his feet, veins popping, screaming at the top of his lungs, "You've been lying to my face for months." Rasheeda, eyes blazing with its signature Frost fire, jumps up so fast her chair flies backward, yelling right back, "You the one who can't keep it in your pants, Kirk. Don't you dare flip this on me." The tension had been simmering all night, but when Rasheeda dropped the ultimate bomb about a secret text thread she'd discovered, the entire room froze. Before anyone could blink, Kirk lunged forward, not at her, but at the table between them, flipping it over with one powerful swing. Papers, water bottles, and mics went flying everywhere. Gasps echoed through the studio. Producers were yelling, "Cut, cut," but nobody was listening. Then, chaos. Pure, unfiltered chaos. Security guards in black burst through the side doors like a SWAT team, sprinting across the set, grabbing Kirk by the arms while Rasheeda stood there, chest heaving, tears streaming down her face, screaming, "Get your hands off my husband. This is between us." But Kirk wasn't done. He broke free for one terrifying second, pointing directly at someone off camera, roaring, "And you got something to do with this too, don't you?" That's when the real jaw-dropper hit the internet. Multiple sources are now claiming Mendeecees Harris was not only backstage that night. He may have been the secret spark that lit this entire explosion. Was Mendeecees really involved? Did he feed Rasheeda information that set Kirk off? Or is there something even darker hiding behind the scenes? You're not ready for what comes next. The receipts, the never-before-seen footage descriptions, the tearful confessions, the family members already picking sides. This is the biggest love and hip-hop meltdown in years, and we're breaking it all down right now. Stick around, because this story is about to get way messier. Okay, so after that explosive moment when Kirk Frost flipped the table and security rushed in, the entire studio turned into pure pandemonium. Cameras kept rolling because nobody hit the stop button fast enough, capturing every second of the meltdown that fans have been begging for since the first rumors dropped online. Rasheeda stood there in her signature fierce pose, arms crossed, tears mixing with that unbreakable Frost glare, while Kirk was being held back by three burly security guards who looked like they were wrestling a bull. He kept shouting over their shoulders, "You think you can just expose me like that and walk away clean? This ain't over, Rasheeda, this ain't over." Producers were scrambling, one yelling into a headset, "Get the medic on standby," another trying desperately to hurt the other. Cast members off stage, but everyone was frozen in shock. Scrappy, sitting just 2 seats down, had his mouth wide open, eyes bugging out like he'd seen a ghost. Yandy, usually the calm mediator, was on her feet whispering to her husband Mendeecees, who looked suspiciously calm for someone who just got pointed at like public enemy number one. The accusation hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Kirk's finger jabbing toward the wings where Mendeecees had been lurking all night. Fans watching the leaked clips later would zoom in on Mendeecees' face, analyzing every micro expression, wondering if that slight smirk meant guilt or just amusement at the chaos. But back on set, Rasheeda wasn't having it. She pushed past a producer who tried to block her path, storming toward Kirk despite the security wall. "Between them, you wanna talk about lies?" she screamed, voice cracking with raw emotion. "Let's talk about the late nights you claimed were studio sessions. Let's talk about the receipts I got sitting in my phone right now." The audience gasped collectively, some cast members covering their mouths, others shaking their heads in disbelief. This wasn't just another argument, this was the culmination of years of whispered rumors, side eyes at events, and cryptic Instagram stories that had the fandom in a chokehold. Kirk finally stopped struggling against security long enough to lock eyes with his wife. His chest was heaving, sweat dripping down his forehead under those hot lights. "Baby," he started, voice dropping to the pleading tone he used when things got really bad. "You know how the industry is, people talk. People twist things." But Rasheeda cut him off with a sharp laugh that had zero humor in an industry. "This ain't about the industry, Kirk. This is about you disrespecting our home, our kids, our legacy. You think I don't see the way you look at other women when you think I'm not watching?" The room went dead silent for a split second, the kind of silence that sucks all the air out. Then Erica Mena never won. To stay quiet piped up from her seat. You telling me this been going on and nobody said nothing, girl? Why you holding it in like that? Rasheeda whipped her head toward Erica, eyes narrowing because some of us try to handle our business in private unlike certain people who are everything for likes. Erica jumped up like she was ready to throw hands but Safari pulled her back down muttering chill chill. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Meanwhile, backstage word was spreading like wildfire. Phones were out, group chats blowing up, insiders already leaking to bloggers. One production assistant reportedly texted a friend, "The set is done tonight, they're shutting it down," but the cameras were still hot, capturing gold for the editors. Later, Kirk finally calmed enough for security to loosened their grip, though they stayed close. He straightened his jacket, trying to regain some composure. "Rasheeda, listen to me," he said softer now, almost begging. "Whatever you think you saw, it's not what it looks like, I swear on our boys." Rasheeda's face crumpled for a moment, vulnerability flashing before the armor snapped back up. "You always swear on the boys when you get caught," she whispered but loud enough for the mics to catch it. The betrayal in her voice hit like a gut punch. Fans later said that single line broke them more than any screaming match could. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Mendices, who had been silent this whole time, finally stepped forward from the shadows, security tensed, hands hovering near their radios. Mendices raised both hands in surrender. "Yo, hold up," he said calmly. "I ain't here to fight nobody but Rasheeda. If you got questions, ask me direct. Don't let this turn into something it don't need to be." Kirk's head snapped toward him so fast it was a blur. "What the hell you doing here anyway?" "Mendices, this ain't your reunion. You wasn't even supposed to be on set tonight." Mendices shrugged, but signature cool demeanor intact. "I came to support my wife. Yandy invited me, but now it look like y'all need a referee more than anything." Rasheeda looked between the two men, confusion mixing with fury. "Wait," she said slowly, "you knew about this?" Mendices shook his head quick. "Nah, I ain't know nothing about Kirk's business, but I heard the rumors same as everybody else, and when Rasheeda called me crying last week asking if I knew anything, I told her to talk to her husband." Kirk's face darkened. "You've been talking to my wife behind my back?" Mendices met his stare without flinching. "She reached out as a friend. I wasn't gonna ignore her pain." That's when Kirk lunged again, not at Mendices this time, but toward Rasheeda, like he wanted to grab her shoulders, make her understand. Security intercepted him instantly, arms locking around his waist. "Let me talk to my wife," he roared. Rasheeda backed up a step, hand over her heart like it physically hurt. "You lost the right when you started keeping secrets, Kirk." The producers finally found their voices, shouting, "Cut, cut, we're done." Lights dimmed slightly as someone hit a master switch, but the drama was far from over. Cast members started moving, some hugging Rasheeda, others pulling Kirk toward the exit. Scrappy approached Rasheeda first, voice low. "You good, sis?" She nodded, but the tears were flowing freely now. "I just wanted my family, Scrappy. That's all I ever wanted." Across the stage, Yandy was holding Mendices' hand, whispering something urgent in his ear. He nodded, glancing back at Kirk with an unreadable expression. As security escorted Kirk off set, he turned one last time, voice hoarse, "This ain't the end, Rasheeda. We can't fix this." But Rasheeda didn't respond. She just stood there, surrounded by her girls, looking smaller than she'd ever looked on television. The set cleared slowly, but the damage was done. Clips were already uploading to TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, stories exploding with notifications. Kirk Rasheeda was trending within minutes. Fans were divided, some team Kirk saying Rasheeda overreacted, others team Rasheeda calling him a serial cheater who'd finally been caught. Blogs were pumping out articles faster than they could fact-check. The love and hip-hop family was officially fractured and the night was young, but what nobody knew yet was that this fight was just the opening act. Deeper secrets, more betrayals, and a bombshell confession were waiting in the wings, ready to blow everything wide open. And Mendices, his role in all this was about to become a lot clearer and a lot more controversial. As the lights finally went down fully, the producers huddled in a corner, faces pale, realizing they had captured television history whether they wanted to or not. One executive reportedly muttered, "We can't air this as is, but we can't not air it either. The raw emotion, the real pain, the family ties hanging by a thread. It was too juicy, too real, too explosive to bury." Rasheeda was escorted to her dressing room by Kay, Michelle, and Bambi, who kept murmuring, "You're strong, queen, you got this," while she sat staring at her phone screen flooded with notifications from concerned friends and thirsty blogs alike. She didn't cry anymore. The tears had dried into something harder, colder resolve. Kirk, meanwhile, was in another trailer, pacing like a caged lion. Security posted outside his door just in case he tried to storm back to the stage. His phone buzzed non-stop, texts from his boys telling him to breathe, from his mama asking what in the world is going on, from his side chick or whoever. The receipts pointed to staying silent. Probably smart. He slammed his fist against the wall once, twice, then sank onto the couch, head in his hands, whispering to himself, "How did it get this bad? How did we let it get this bad?" Outside the studio, fans who had been waiting for hours hoping for autographs or selfies were now buzzing with leaked audio snippets spreading faster than the crew could contain them. One girl live streamed the whole thing from the parking lot, screaming, "Y'all, the Frosts just imploded on camera. This is While the internet did what the internet does, turned pain into memes, turned marriage vows into punchlines, turned a real couple's crisis into entertainment fodder. But for Rasheeda and Kirk, this wasn't content, this was their life, their home, their children caught in the crossfire as the night wore on. Whispers started circulating that Rasheeda had proof, not just texts but photos, locations, timestamps. Things that couldn't be explained away as misunderstandings or industry talk. Insiders claimed she had hired a private investigator months ago, tired of the gaslighting, tired of the excuses, tired of smiling for the cameras while her heart broke behind closed doors. And Mendices, well, his name kept coming up, not as the villain exactly, but as the confidant, the one Rasheeda turned to when she couldn't turn to her own husband anymore. Some said he encouraged her to confront Kirk on camera for maximum impact. Others said he was just being a good friend trying to protect Yanda's extended family circle. Either way, his calm intervention had only thrown fuel on the fire, making Kirk see red in a whole new way. By the time the crew packed up the set around 2 in the morning, the air still smelled like tension and spilled coffee. Nobody spoke much, just nodded grimly as they loaded gear into vans, knowing tomorrow the world would wake up to headlines screaming love and hip-hop reunion turns violent, Frost marriage in crisis, Mendices caught in the middle. Rasheeda would go home to an empty bed, kids already asleep, unaware that mommy and daddy's world had cracked open. Kirk would crash at a friend's couch, not ready to face the silence of their shared house. And somewhere in the digital ether, the first major twist was brewing. Someone anonymous had just dropped a voice note into a popular blog, the voice that sounded suspiciously like Kirk's from years ago, promising things to someone who wasn't Rasheeda. The caption read, oldie but goodie, receipts incoming. The storm wasn't over, it was just beginning, and the love and hip-hop universe was holding its breath, waiting for the next bomb to drop. The drama didn't stop when the lights went down, it only shifted locations and got even more intense. Rasheeda refused to leave the studio right away. She sat in her dressing room, door locked, lights dim, staring at the mirror like she was trying to recognize the woman looking back at her. K. Michelle paced back and forth, hands on her hips. Girl, you know you can't let him play you like this. You've been holding it together for too long. Bambi nodded from the couch, scrolling through her phone, already seeing the clips going viral. Rasheeda, we got you, but you gotta decide what you want next because the world is watching and they smelling blood. Rasheeda finally spoke, voice low and steady. I want the truth, that's all I've ever wanted, but every time I ask for it he twists it, makes me feel crazy like I'm the problem. She wiped her face roughly. No more tears tonight, I'm done crying over a man who won't cry over me. Meanwhile, across the lot, Kirk was in a different trailer, chain smoking. Even though he swore he quit years ago, his boys Scrappy and Safari had pushed their way past security to check on him. Scrappy leaned against the wall, arms folded. You wild for the table flip, bro, but real talk, what the hell is going on? Kirk exhaled smoke toward the ceiling. It's complicated, man. She found some old messages, nothing recent, but she acting like I've been out here living double life every day. Safari chuckled, but it wasn't funny. Not ain't old if she just now seeing it, that means somebody been holding onto it, waiting for the right moment to drop it. Kirk's eyes narrowed. You think somebody set this up? Scrappy shrugged. Could be, could not be, but Mendices popping up out of nowhere ain't sitting right with me either. He was too calm, too quick to jump in like he knew exactly what buttons to push. Kirk crushed the cigarette under his boot. Mendices always been too close to my wife ever since Yandy and Rasheeda got tight. He's been in our business acting like family, but family don't keep secrets like that. Safari raised an eyebrow. You saying he fed her the info? Kirk didn't answer right away. He just stared at the floor, replaying the moment. Mendices stepped forward, all cool and collected, like he was there to save the day instead of starting the fire. Something about that smirk, it felt personal. Like Mendices had been waiting for this moment for years. Back in Rasheeda's dressing room, the conversation turned darker. She pulled out her phone, opened a hidden folder. Nobody knew she had screenshots after screenshots, text threads, conversations, even a few blurry photos from nights when Kirk said he was in the studio working on beats. One picture showed him at a club laughing with a woman whose face was cropped out, but the tattoo on his arm was unmistakable. Rasheeda's voice shook as she showed K. Michelle. Look at the timestamp. This was 2 months ago, right after we renewed our vows in front of everybody. He told me he was celebrating with the team. K. Michelle's jaw dropped. Sis, no. Bambi leaned in closer. That's her from the Video Vixen account, the one who was posting throwbacks with him last year. Rasheeda nodded slowly. I hired somebody to dig because I was tired of guessing, tired of him looking me in my eyes and lying with a straight face. The pie found more than I wanted to know. Hotel receipts, plane tickets, gifts sent to an address in Miami. I thought maybe it was one mistake, one slip up, but it's a pattern. It's been years. K. Michelle hugged her tight. You deserve better than This Rasheeda you really do, but what you gon' do now? Are it all out on the next episode or handle it private? Rasheeda stared at the wall for a long moment. I don't know yet, but one thing's for sure, if Mendices had anything to do with pushing this in my face, I'm cutting ties with that whole circle. Yanda's my girl, but loyalty got limits, and if her man crossed the line we got problems outside the trailers. The crew was still buzzing, producers huddled in the control room watching playback, arguing over what could be salvaged. One executive slammed his fist on the table. We got violence, we got terrors, we got accusations. This is ratings heaven, but if we air it raw we risk lawsuits from every direction. Another producer shook his head. Nah, we edit it tight, keep the explosion, but cut the names drop. Hints let the fans connect the dots. That's how we stay safe and still give them the drama they crave. By 3 a.m. the parking lot was mostly empty except for a few stragglers, fans who refused to leave hoping to catch a glimpse of the stars. One girl in a love and hip hop hoodie was live on Instagram whispering into her phone, "Y'all, they still inside. I heard screaming earlier. This reunion bout to be legendary or cancelled forever." Her comments flooded with fire emojis, question marks, and prayers for the Frosts, but the real bombshell was brewing in the digital shadows. Around 4 in the morning, an anonymous account on Twitter dropped a thread titled "The Real Reason Rasheeda Snapped Tonight." Attached were audio clips, grainy but clear enough to recognize voices. One was Kirk from what sounded like an old phone call. "Baby, I miss you. I'll be home soon, just handling business." The woman's voice on the other end giggling, "Kirk, you always say that when you coming to see me for real." Another clip, Rasheeda's voice hushed and hurt. "I found the messages, Kirk. Why Mendices? Why would you tell me to check his phone if you didn't know what I'd find?" The internet lost its mind within minutes. Mendices exposed started trending alongside Frost marriage over. Fans were dissecting every word, some saying Mendices was the hero for helping Rasheeda see the truth, others calling him a snake for meddling in another man's marriage. Yandy must have seen the tags because she posted a cryptic story, black screen, white text, family over everything, pray for peace, no names, no explanations, just enough to fuel the fire. Rasheeda saw it too. She stared at her phone for a long time, then typed the reply that she deleted before posting, only to repost it 5 minutes later. Same thing, family over everything, but sometimes family gotta learn the hard way what loyalty really means. The shade was subtle, but the fandom caught it immediately. Theories exploded. Was Yandy choosing her husband over her friend? Was Mendices playing both sides, or was this all a setup for the next season's storyline? Producers were already in emergency meetings, texting cast members at dawn, telling them not to speak to press, not to post anything until legal cleared it, but the genie was out of the bottle. There was no putting it back. Kirk finally left the lot around sunrise, hoodie up, head down, avoiding cameras. He climbed into a black Thuf driven by one of his day ones. The car peeled out fast, but not before Pap caught a shot of his face, looking exhausted, defeated, like a man who knew he'd lost more than an argument. Rasheeda stayed longer. She talked to producers for hours, laying out conditions. "If this airs, it airs my truth, not his edited version. I want the world to see what I've been carrying." They nodded, took notes, promised to review footage with her input, but everybody knew once it hit streaming there was no controlling the narrative. She finally walked out into the morning light, sunglasses on, no makeup, looking every bit the queen who'd been to war and survived. Her security flanked her as fans screamed her name from behind barricades. "We love you, Rasheeda, you deserve better." Queen. She didn't wave, didn't smile, just kept walking head high, but inside she was crumbling, the weight of it all pressing down harder than ever. Back at home the kids were still asleep, blissfully unaware that mommy had spent the night fighting for their family while daddy was somewhere licking wounds and plotting his next move. Rasheeda slipped into their bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed staring at the wedding photo on the nightstand, her in white, him in a tux, both smiling like forever was guaranteed. She touched the frame gently, whispering, "Why couldn't you just be honest, baby? Why'd you make me become this version of myself?" Then she stood up, walked to the closet, started pulling out his clothes one piece at a time, not throwing them out, not yet, just piling them on the guest room bed, a quiet act of reclaiming space in her own home. Meanwhile, Mendices and Yandy were at their place. He was on the couch, phone in hand, scrolling through the chaos. Yandy stood in the kitchen, arms crossed. "You really had to step in last night, didn't you?" Mendices looked up, calm as ever. "She called me crying. What was I supposed to do? Ignore her?" Yandy shook her head. "You know how Kirk is, you know how protective he gets, and now the whole internet thinks you were the side dude in their drama." Mendices laughed low. "Nah, they think I'm the whistleblower, and maybe that's not the worst thing if it gets Rasheeda out of a bad situation." Yandy's eyes narrowed. "So you were saying you did feed her the info?" Mendices hesitated just a second too long. "I gave her advice, that's all." She asked if I knew anything about Kirk stepping out. I said check his Phone if you really want answers. I didn't hand her nothing, she found it herself. Yandy studied his face looking for cracks, but Mendices was good at keeping his poker face. She sighed, eventually sitting beside him. I just don't want our family dragged into their mess. We got enough going on. Mendices pulled her close. I know, baby, but sometimes you can't stay neutral when somebody's hurting, and Rashida's been hurting a long time. Yandy rested her head on his shoulder, whispering, I hope you were right about this, because if it backfires it's gonna be all of us paying the price. As the sun climbed higher, the story kept growing. Blogs posted hour by hour updates to exclusive sources claiming Kirk was already talking to divorce lawyers just in case Rashida had lawyers on speed dial too. The fans were split down the middle. Team Rashida saying she finally stood up for herself. Team Kirk saying she embarrassed him on national instead of handling it private. But deep down everybody knew this wasn't just about one fight, it was about years of built-up resentment, unspoken pain, and the pressure of living your marriage under constant cameras and scrutiny. The reunion special was supposed to be a celebration of survival. Now it was looking like the beginning of the end, and the biggest question hanging over everything was simple: who really pulled the trigger? Was it Rashida, tired of the lies? Was it Kirk, careless with his choices? Or was Mendices, the silent architect who'd been waiting for the perfect moment to watch it all burn? Nobody had the full picture yet, but pieces were falling into place fast, and the next 24 hours would reveal betrayals nobody saw coming, friendships tested, family bonds pushed to the breaking point, and maybe, just maybe, a path toward healing or total destruction. The love and hip-hop world held its breath, because whatever came next, it was going to be explosive, raw, and impossible to look away from. The fallout hit like a tidal wave, crashing over the entire cast and crew. By the time Monday morning rolled around, the internet had turned the reunion meltdown into a full-blown cultural event. Breakfast shows were dissecting it, had a live panel with so-called experts weighing in on whether Kirk and Rashida's marriage could survive the public humiliation. Blogs were dropping daily bombshells, each one claiming exclusive access to new receipts, new witnesses, new angles. Rashida woke up to over 10,000 notifications, most of them supportive messages from fans, queens standing 10 toes down for her, but mixed in were the ugly ones, the ones calling her bitter, dramatic, attention-seeking. She scrolled through them in silence, coffee going cold in her hand, before finally turning the phone face down. She had bigger decisions to make. The kids were at school, oblivious, still thinking mommy and daddy were just working late again. Like always, she called her mama first, voice barely above a whisper, Mama, I think it's really over this time. Her mother didn't sugarcoat it. Baby, you've been carrying him for years. If he can't carry his weight, now let him go. Rashida hung up, feeling both lighter and heavier at the same time. She knew the next move had to be hers. No more waiting for Kirk to come correct, no more hoping the next apology would stick. She opened her laptop, pulled up the footage the producers had sent over for her review, raw unedited clips of the fight. The table flipped, the security rushed the moment she screamed, Get your hands off my husband. Her own voice sounded foreign to her. Broken, desperate, furious, she watched it twice, then closed the laptop, deciding right then that if this was airing, it was airing with her narration, her truth, no producer cuts to soften the blow. Meanwhile, Kirk was holed up at Scrappy's crib, refusing to go back to the house. He said it felt haunted now, too many memories, too much silence. He spent the day on the phone with lawyers, not divorce ones yet, just entertainment attorneys, making sure nothing he said in interviews could be used against him later. He knew the blogs were coming for him hard. He knew the fans were split, but the ones turning on him hurt the most. The comments calling him a dog, a cheater, a fraud. He stared at his screen, reading them over and over until Scrappy snatched the phone away. Bro, stop feeding the beast, you gone drive yourself crazy. Kirk rubbed his temples. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here and let her paint me as the villain? Scrappy sat across from him. Look man, I ain't saying you innocent, but you know how this game works. The louder she cries, the more they ride for her. You want sympathy, start telling your side, but do it smart, not emotional, not angry, calm, collected. Facts only. Kirk nodded slowly. Yeah, facts. But the facts ain't pretty either. Scrappy leaned forward, then owned the to apologize where you messed up, stand on the rest. People respect accountability more than excuses. Kirk stared at the wall for a long minute, then pulled out his phone, started typing a draft, something real, something raw, no polish, just him talking to his wife through the world. He didn't post it yet, he needed to sit with it. First, back at the Frost house, Rashida had started packing his things methodically, not angrily, just efficiently. Shirts folded, jeans stacked, shoes lined up in boxes. She found an old photo album tucked in the back of the closet, pictures from their early days, before the fame, before the cameras, before the temptations, young love frozen in time. She flipped through it slowly, smiling at them, crying at others. By the time she reached the last page, the one from their vow renewal, she was sobbing quietly, not the dramatic tears, but the private kind that hurt deeper. She closed the book, put it in a box labeled Keep for the Boys, then kept packing. By evening, the guest room looked like a storage unit full of Kirk's life condensed into cardboard. She sat on the floor, surrounded by it all, wondering how Two people who once couldn't breathe without each other ended up here, strangers sharing a last name and two beautiful kids. The doorbell rang, startling her. It was Yandy standing there with takeout bags and red-rimmed eyes. Rasheeda let her in without a word. They sat at the kitchen island, picking at food, neither really hungry. Yandy spoke first. "I'm sorry, I didn't know it was this bad." Rasheeda looked at her friend, searching for sincerity. "I know you didn't, but your husband did." Yandy flinched. "He told me he was just being supportive." Rashida's laugh was bitter. "Supportive by telling me to go through my husband's phone? Supportive by showing up on set like some knight in shining armor?" Yandy reached across the island, grabbed Rashida's hand. "Listen, I talked to him last night hard. He swears he didn't plant anything. He didn't send you files or screenshots. He just listened when you vented, and maybe he said too much. Maybe he crossed a line, but he wasn't trying to destroy your marriage." Rasheeda pulled her hand back slowly. "Maybe not intentionally, but the result is the same. My home is broken, my trust is shattered, and every time I look at him now I see the man who knew my pain and didn't warn me sooner." Yanda's eyes filled with tears. "I'm caught in the middle, my best friend and my husband. I don't want to lose either." Rasheeda softened just a fraction. "I don't want to lose you either, but right now I need space from anything connected to Mendices until I figure out what I believe." Yandy nodded, wiping her face. "I understand. Take all the time you need, but please don't shut me out completely." Rasheeda hugged her, then long and tight, the kind of hug that says we're family even when everything else is falling apart. After Yandy left, Rasheeda sat alone in the quiet house, listening to the clock tick, wondering if she'd ever feel whole again. The next day brought the first major twist since the fight. A popular blog dropped what they called the smoking gun, a series of screenshots allegedly from Kirk's account to a woman named Tasha, timestamps matching the nights Rasheeda had questioned him. The messages were flirty, explicit promises of trips, gifts, late-night meetups. The fandom erupted, some defending Kirk, saying that we're old or photoshopped, others saying case closed, he's guilty. Rasheeda saw the post while scrolling in bed. Her stomach dropped, not because it was new information, but because seeing it public made it real, undeniable. She texted her lawyer, 3 words, handle it now. Within hours, the blog issued a quiet correction that were from an old thread leaked by someone with access to Kirk's old phone, but the damage was done. The narrative had shifted. Kirk was now officially the villain in the story. Rasheeda didn't celebrate, she just felt numb. Kirk, on the other hand, exploded. He called Scrappy first thing, "This is sabotage. Somebody hacked my old account or stole my phone years ago. This ain't current." Scrappy tried to calm him down. "Bro, breathe, post your proof, show the dates, show the context." Kirk was already typing furiously. He dropped a video on his story, raw, no filter, sitting in his car, eyes tired, voice steady. "All I've been quiet because I wanted to respect my wife, my family, but now people out here twisting everything. Those floating around, they're real, but they're from 6 years ago, before we fixed things, before counseling, before we were committed. I messed up back then. I owned it. We worked through it publicly and privately. Anybody saying this is recent is lying, and anybody leaking old stuff to hurt us right now, that's not love, that's hate." He paused, looked straight into the camera. "Rasheeda, if you were watching, I know you were hurt. I know I caused a lot of it, but I love you. I love our boys. I want my family back. If you'll have me." The video racked up millions of views in hours. Comments flooded in, mixed, some calling bees, others saying give him a chance. The tide started to turn slightly, fans remembering the good times, the family moments, the way Rasheeda used to light up when Kirk walked in the room. But Rasheeda didn't respond publicly. She watched the video 3 times alone in the dark, each time feeling a different emotion: anger, sadness, nostalgia, hope. She didn't know what to do with any of them, so she did nothing, just let it sit. The producers, sensing blood in the water, scheduled emergency sit-downs with both Kirk and Rasheeda separately, offering them the chance to film individual confessionals to air as part of the reunion special. Rasheeda agreed, but on her terms. No joint scenes, no forced reconciliation. Kirk agreed, too desperate to tell his side, desperate to reach her through the screen. When filming day came, the set felt haunted. Different lights, same chairs, but the energy was heavy. Rasheeda arrived first, hair pulled back, simple makeup, no glam, just real. She sat across from the host, voice steady but eyes glassy. "I stayed silent for years because I thought protecting the image protected the family, but protecting lies only protects the liar. I've carried this weight alone long enough, no more." The cameras caught every tear, every pause, every time her voice cracked when she talked about the nights she cried herself to sleep while Kirk was God knows where. She didn't name names, but she didn't have to. The implication was clear. Kirk came in later, hoodie up, eyes bloodshot. He didn't yell, didn't flip tables, just spoke quietly, raw. "I've never been perfect. I've made mistakes, big ones. I've hurt the woman I love more than anything, but I've also fought for her, fought for us. Every time I fell, I got back up because she was worth it." She still, as he looked into the lens, "Rasheeda, I know words don't fix this, actions do, so I'm asking. No cameras, no audience, just us. Let's talk, let's heal, or let's end it clean, but let's do it together." The confessionals wrapped. Production went into overdrive, editing, teasing trailers, dropping hints without showing too much. The anticipation built to fever pitch, fans refreshing pages, hourly waiting for the reunion to drop, knowing it would either save the Frosts or bury them for good. But while the world waited, another layer peeled back. Someone close to the production leaked that Mendices had been seen talking to Rasheeda's pie months earlier, not paying him, just asking questions, digging into the same dirt Rasheeda had been digging into. Whispers started again. Was Mendices more involved than he admitted? Was he protecting Yandy or playing a longer game? The questions multiplied, the drama deepened, and the Love and Hip Hop family found itself staring down the barrel of something bigger than one fight, something that could reshape alliances, friendships, and legacies forever. The only thing certain was that nothing would ever be the same again. The tension that had been simmering since the reunion exploded into something far bigger than anyone anticipated when the special finally dropped on streaming 2 weeks later. The episode opened with a black screen, white text disclaimer: "This episode contains intense emotional content. Viewer discretion advised." Then it cut straight to the chaos. No slow build, no recap, just the table flipping, Kirk's roar, Rasheeda's scream, security swarming like bees. The raw, unfiltered footage hit viewers like a freight train. Social media shut down for 20 minutes straight from overload. #explosion trended worldwide. #1 people pausing at every frame, zooming in on facial expressions, lip-reading arguments, analyzing body language. The confessionals aired back to back. Rasheeda's first, her voice steady but cracking at the edges. "I've given this man everything, my youth, my loyalty, my heart, and for what? To be gaslit for years, to be made to feel crazy when I knew what I knew." Kirk's confessional followed, his eyes red-rimmed, hoodie pulled low. "I ain't perfect, I've never claimed to be, but everything I've done since we recommitted has been to build us back stronger." The contrast was brutal, one spouse raw and resolute, the other remorseful but defensive. Fans tore it apart in group chats, on Twitter threads, on TikTok stitches. Some said Rasheeda was finally free, others said Kirk was trying to save face. The comments sections became battlegrounds, real marriages projected onto the screen, people airing their own traumas through the Frost drama. But the episode didn't end with the confessionals. Producers had one more card to play, a never-before-seen clip filmed 2 days after the fight in a neutral hotel conference room. Just Kirk, Rasheeda, and one camera. No host, no audience, no security. Rasheeda sat across from him, arms folded, legs crossed. Kirk leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Baby, I know I messed up. I know the old stuff resurfacing hurts like hell, but that was before I changed, before we changed." Rasheeda stared at him for a long beat, then spoke soft but firm. "You say changed, but every time something pops up you say it's old, it's from before, it's not who I am now. How many befores do we get, Kirk? Before the boys grow up thinking this is normal, before I lose myself completely trying to hold us together." Kirk swallowed hard. "I don't want that either. That's why I'm here. No cameras, no excuses, just be asking for one more chance to prove it with actions, not words." Rasheeda's eyes glistened, but she didn't let the tears fall. "Prove it how?" Kirk reached into his pocket, pulled out a small envelope, slid it across the table. "Open it." She hesitated, then tore it open. Inside were printed emails, flight itineraries, hotel bookings, all in her name. "Solo trips, no, +1 100 note on top for you too. Breathe to think, to decide if you want me in your future or not. I'm giving you space, not because I want to, but because you deserve it." Rasheeda read it silently, fingers trembling, then looked up at him. "This is real." Kirk nodded. "No tricks, no games. If you need time, take it. If you need forever, I will respect that, but know that I'm fighting for us every day, even if it's from a distance." The clip faded to black. The episode ended. No reunion wrap-up, no group hug, just the quiet, vulnerable moment hanging in the air. Viewers lost their minds, some crying in their living rooms, others screaming at their screens. Is this real or produced? The internet split again. Team Reconciliation versus Team Rasheeda deserves better. Blogs ran side-by-side comparisons of the hotel bookings, verifying dates, locations. Everything checked out. It wasn't fake, it was Kirk actually stepping back, giving her the space she begged for in private for years. Rasheeda posted nothing for 3 days, then dropped a single Instagram story, black background, white text. "Sometimes love means letting go to see if it comes back stronger. Thank you for the love, thank you for the prayers, we appreciate it." The Frost boys appeared in no posts, no stories, privacy mode activated fully. Fans respected it mostly, but the speculation never stopped. Where was Kirk staying? Was he still at Scrappies? Had he moved into a condo downtown? Was Mendices still in the picture? Whispers circulated that Mendices had met with Rasheeda privately once after the fight, not romantic, just to clear the air. He apologized for overstepping, she accepted, but set firm boundaries. No more late-night advice, no more stepping into her marriage. Yandy and Rasheeda talked almost daily, rebuilding slowly, one text, one call at a time. Yandy posted a photo of the two of them at brunch months later, arms around each other, caption, "Real friends weather the storm." The caption got hundreds of thousands of likes, proof that some bonds could survive even this. But Kirk and Rasheeda's status remained the biggest mystery. Paparazzi staked out the house, saw Rasheeda coming and going alone, saw the boys playing in the yard, no Kirk in sight. Then one rainy late Tuesday evening, a blurry photo surfaced Kirk pulling up in his truck, hoodie up, mask on, carrying grocery bags. He knocked, waited. Rasheeda opened the door. They talked on the porch for 20 minutes. No yelling, no drama, just quiet conversation. He handed her the bags. She took them out at once. He left. She closed the door. The photo went viral. Fans analyzing every pixel. Was that a smile? Was she crying? Was this the beginning of healing or just co-parenting logistics? Nobody knew, but the image gave hope to the helpless romantics who still rooted for the Frosts against all odds. Weeks turned to months. The reunion special became the most watched episode in Love and Hip Hop history. Spin-off rumors swirled, producers pitching a Frost-focused docuseries following their journey. Whatever the journey was, Rasheeda started working on new music, fierce, empowering anthems, lyrics dripping with the pain she'd carried so long. Fans streamed the singles on repeat, turning her heartbreak into chart success. Kirk stayed quieter, posted throwbacks of family vacations, cryptic captions about growth, second chances, redemption. He launched a small production company focusing on up-and-coming adult artists. Said it kept him grounded, kept him out of trouble. Mendices and Yandy kept their distance from the spotlight, focused on their own family. But Mendices did one interview months later. When asked about his role in the drama, he said, "Simply, I saw my friend hurting. I tried to help. Maybe I helped wrong. Maybe I made it worse, but I'd do it again if it meant someone got free from pain." That was as close to an apology or explanation as anyone got. The fandom accepted it, grudgingly moved on to the next scandal, but the Frosts lingered in conversations. Years later, people still asked whatever happened to Kirk and Rasheeda. Did they make it? Did they split for good? The truth trickled out in pieces over time. Rasheeda bought a new house, bigger, brighter, her own name on the deed. The boys had their rooms decorated how they wanted. She started dating casually, nothing serious, just testing the waters, enjoying being seen, appreciated without conditions. Kirk respected the boundaries, sent flowers on her birthday, handwritten cards to the boys, showed up for every school event, sat on opposite sides of the bleachers, but clapped together when their son scored a goal. They co-parented well, better than when they were married, maybe because the pressure was off. No cameras, no image to protect, just two people who once loved each other deeply, learning to respect each other from a distance. Then on their anniversary, the one nobody expected them to acknowledge anymore, Rasheeda posted a single photo, old one from their first vacation together, captioned, "10 years ago today we said forever. Life doesn't always look like we planned, but love evolves. Gratitude over regret." The comments exploded. "Love this maturity, wishing you both peace." Kirk didn't comment publicly, but sources said he called her that night. They talked for hours, not about getting back together, not about blame, just about the boys, about memories, about what they'd learned. The next morning, Rasheeda posted a story of coffee on her patio, sunrise, caption, "New chapters, new mercies." No caption needed. Fans read between the lines. Some celebrated, some mourned the end of an era, but most just nodded, understanding that sometimes the strongest love isn't the one that lasts forever in the same form, it's the one that transforms, lets go when holding on hurts more, and cherishes what was without poisoning what could be. The Love and Hip Hop world moved on, new couples, new fights, new reconciliations, but the Frost story became legend, the one everyone referenced when talking about realness under pressure, the one that reminded viewers these weren't just characters, they were people, messy, complicated, hurting, healing, trying their best in front of the world. And sometimes that best looked like walking away, sometimes it looked like staying, sometimes it looked like everything in between. But through it all, the one constant was the love. Even when it changed shape, it never fully disappeared. It just found new ways to exist, and for that, whether they ever reconciled or not, fans would always have a soft spot for the couple that gave them the most explosive, realist, unforgettable drama in franchise history. Because in the end, it wasn't just about the fight on set or the table flip or Mendices in the shadows. It was about two people who loved hard, fought hard, hurt hard, and maybe, just maybe, learned to love smarter because of it. The end of their chapter wasn't tidy, wasn't scripted, wasn't wrapped in a bow, but it was honest, and in the world of reality, honesty was the rarest gem of all. So as the credits rolled on the reunion special and the world kept spinning, people didn't just watch, they felt it deep in their chests, because somewhere in the screaming and the tears they saw pieces of their own stories reflected back, and that's what made it legendary, not the chaos but the courage it took to face it head on. The months following the reunion special blurred into a strange limbo where the public eye never fully looked away, but the Frosts themselves tried to carve out some semblance of normalcy. Rasheeda threw herself into motherhood, music, and self-discovery with a ferocity that surprised even her closest friends. She enrolled in yoga classes at dawn, started journaling every night, and quietly began therapy sessions that weren't filmed or posted about. She told K. Michelle over late night wine, "One evening I spent so many years performing strength that I forgot what real strength feels like. Real strength isn't screaming on camera, it's getting up when nobody's watching and choosing yourself anyway." K. Michelle raised her glass. "Amen, sister, you've been choosing Everybody else for too long time to choose you. Rasheeda smiled small but genuine for the first time in what felt like forever. The boys thrived in the quieter house, more attention, more routines, more stability. They asked about Daddy, of course, and Rasheeda answered honestly, Daddy and I are taking some time to figure things out, but we both love you more than anything and will always be our team B. Kids nodded, accepted it because children have an amazing capacity to adapt when the love around them stays steady. Kirk, on the other hand, wrestled with the silence. He hated the quiet, hated the empty condo he eventually rented downtown, hated waking up without the chaos of family mornings. He poured that energy into his new label, signing raw talent from the same streets he'd come up on, mentoring young producers the way he wished someone had mentored him harder. He stayed sober mostly, no more late nights chasing validation, just studio sessions, dawn till dusk, music that felt honest for once. Scrappy checked in weekly, man you look different, better. Kirk shrugged, I'm trying to be the man I promised her I'd be, even if she never sees it again. Scrappy clapped him on the back, that's the point, bro. Do it for you first, the rest follows or it don't, but you still win. The first real test of this new normal came during the holiday season. Christmas lights twinkling across Atlanta while the Frost family navigated uncharted waters. Rasheeda hosted at the new house, decorations modest but warm, the boys in matching pajamas opening gifts under a tree that smelled like pine and possibility. Kirk arrived at the agreed-upon time, 2 p.m. sharp, gifts in hand, no entourage, no cameras, just him in a black hoodie looking nervous like a teenager picking up his date. Rasheeda opened the door, met his eyes for a long second, then stepped aside. Come in. The boys tackled him immediately. Daddy, Daddy, look what Santa brought. The living room filled with laughter, squeals, wrapping paper flying. Kirk sat on the floor, helped assemble toys, answered endless questions about reindeer and elves. Rasheeda watched from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, not angry, just observing. After the boys crashed from sugar highs, she poured 2 glasses of sparkling cider, no alcohol, no excuses, just clarity. They sat on the couch far enough apart to feel safe, close enough to talk low. She spoke first, thank you for coming for them, not for show. Kirk nodded, I wouldn't miss it. Rasheeda looked down at her glass, then back at him. I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness, not the quick kind, the kind that actually sticks. I forgive you, Kirk, for the past, for the pain, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean going back to how it was. Kirk exhaled slow like he'd been holding his breath for months. I don't expect you to. I just want to be better in whatever role you'll let me have, husband, friend, co-parent, whatever you decide. Rasheeda studied his face, searching for the old patterns, the deflection, the charm that used to disarm her, but she saw something different, humility, maybe even a little brokenness. She nodded once. Okay, we start small, consistent communication, no games, no hidden agendas, and we put the boys first. Always, Kirk agreed, voice thick. No games, no agendas, boys first, always. They didn't hug, didn't kiss, just sat in the quiet for a while listening to the Christmas playlist looping softly in the background. It wasn't reconciliation, it was a truce, a foundation, maybe the first real one they'd built in years. The new year brought fresh headlines, not explosive this time, quieter, more reflective. Outlets started running Where Are They Now pieces on the Frosts, noting the separate houses, the civil co-parenting, the lack of drama. Fans appreciated the maturity, some even said it was refreshing to see growth instead of endless cycles of mess. Rasheeda dropped her first solo project since the split, a 6-track act titled Unbroken, every song raw, stripped back, production heavy on lyrics about betrayal, healing, rising. She performed the lead single at a small venue, no big production, just her voice, guitar, and truth. The crowd sang along, tears in their eyes because they'd lived pieces of that story too. Kirk watched the performance on live stream from his condo, didn't comment publicly but texted her afterward, proud of you, always have been. Rasheeda read it, smiled small, typed back, thank you, keep growing. 2 Mendices and Yandy stayed in their lane, focused on their own brand, their kids, their peace. Yandy and Rasheeda's friendship deepened over time, not forced but organic. Brunches, playdates, honest talks about marriage, motherhood, boundaries. Yandy once said over coffee, I was scared I'd lose you both, but I'm glad we all chose honesty over pretending. Rasheeda squeezed her hand, me too sis, me too. The biggest shift came quietly, no fanfare, no announcement. 18 months after the reunion, Rasheeda and Kirk were spotted at their son's soccer game, sitting side by side on the bleachers, not touching but not avoiding each other either. When the boys scored, they high-fived, clapped, cheered together. Paparazzi caught the moment, posted it with the caption, healing looks different for everyone. The photo went viral, not for drama but for hope. Comments flooded in, this is what growth looks like, respect, beautiful mature love stories can end and still be beautiful. Months later, another photo surfaced, them at a family dinner restaurant, neutral ground, kids between them laughing over pizza, no tension, no performance, just people sharing a meal. The blogs speculated cautiously, are the Frosts back together? No. Confirmation came, neither posted about it, no joint stories, no matching captions. They let the pictures speak, and the pictures said enough time had passed, wounds had scarred over, trust had been rebuilt brick by slow brick, not in public but in private moments, phone calls, school pickups, holiday traditions, small acts of consistency that added up to something solid. Then on a quiet spring evening, almost 2 years to the day of the meltdown, Rasheeda invited Kirk over, not for the boys this time, just them. She cooked his favorite meal, fried chicken, collards, mac and cheese. The house smelled like home, like before, like possibility. They ate, talked, laughed, remembered the good without ignoring the bad. After dinner they sat on the back porch watching fireflies. Kirk spoke first. "I never stopped loving you, even when I was too stupid to show it right." Rasheeda looked at the stars for a long moment, then at him. "I know, and I never stopped loving the man I knew you could be. The question is, are you that man now, or are you still becoming him?" Kirk reached for her hand, tentative. She let him take it. "I'm still becoming, but I'm closer than I've ever been, and if you will let me, I'd like to keep becoming with you." Rasheeda didn't answer right away. She just held his hand tighter, felt the familiar warmth, the calluses from years of making beats, the pulse that matched hers. After a while she whispered, "Okay, let's try, but slow, no rushing, no cameras, no pressure, just us figuring it out, one honest day at a time." Kirk nodded, tears in his eyes. One honest day at a time. They didn't announce it to the world, didn't need to. The people who mattered knew. The boys sensed the shift, started asking, "When Daddy coming home?" more often. Rasheeda answered, "Soon baby, real soon," and she meant it. The love and hip-hop cameras eventually circled back. Producers pitched a follow-up special, not to exploit the pain but to document the healing. Rasheeda and Kirk talked about it for weeks, debated the pros, the cons, ultimately agreed, but with ironclad rules: no manufactured drama, no forced moments, just their real life as it unfolded. The special aired a year later, titled After the Storm. No explosions, no table flips, just quiet conversations, therapy sessions, date nights, family game nights, the boys running through the house calling both parents by name under one roof. Again, viewers watched not for the mess but for the miracle, because in a genre built on chaos, seeing two people choose each other again after everything felt revolutionary. The finale episode ended with them renewing vows privately. Backyard, simple white dress, black suit, no audience, just family, friends, the boys holding rings, the officiant smiling wide. When Kirk said, "I do again," Rasheeda said, "I do again." The kiss was soft, re-earned. The camera pulled back as fireworks lit the sky. Not dramatic Hollywood but warm hometown. The screen faded to black with text, "Love isn't perfect, it's persistent." The credits rolled to applause from everyone watching at home, because they'd witnessed something rare, something honest, something that reminded them that even the messiest stories can find their way back to grace. Not every love survives, not every fight ends in reconciliation, but when it does, when two flawed people decide the work is worth it, when forgiveness becomes action and not just a word, it becomes the kind of ending that feels like a beginning all over again. And for Kirk and Rasheeda, after the explosive fight, the security rush, the accusations, the space, the silence, the slow rebuild, they found that kind of ending. Or maybe it wasn't an ending at all, maybe it was just the next chapter, one written with clearer eyes, stronger hearts, and a love that had finally learned how to bend without breaking. The love and hip-hop universe kept turning, new drama, new faces, new scandals, but the Frost story stayed etched in fans' memories, not as the biggest blow-up but as the biggest comeback, proof that sometimes the realest isn't the scripted shade or the viral moments, it's the quiet mornings after the storm, when two people wake up, choose each other again, and mean it. And in a world obsessed with quick fixes, temporary highs, disposable connections, that kind of love, stubborn, persistent, real, felt like the ultimate plot twist, the one nobody saw coming but everybody needed. And there you have it, the explosive, heartbreaking, ultimately hopeful saga of Kirk Frost and Rasheeda Frost, a story that started with a flipped table, security rushing in, and a finger pointed straight at Mendices Harris, but ended with something far rarer in reality: real growth, real forgiveness, and a love that refused to die quietly. From the chaos on set to the quiet porch conversations, from separate houses to shared soccer games, from heartbreak anthems to a private vow renewal under fireworks, this wasn't just drama, this was life, messy and beautiful and human, playing out in front of millions who couldn't look away. But here's the thing that keeps us all coming back. Even after everything, the accusations, the leaks, the months of silence, the slow rebuild, questions still linger. Did they truly make it all the way back? Or is this just another chapter before the next storm? Was Mendices really the villain some painted him to be, or just a friend who stepped in at the wrong moment? And most importantly, what would you have done in Rasheeda's shoes? Walk away for good, or fight for the family one more time? The Frost story didn't give us a perfect fairy tale ending with a bow on top, and honestly, that's why it hit so hard. It showed us that love can survive the ugliest public fights, the deepest betrayals, the longest silences, but only if both people decide the work is worth it. And whether they're still holding hands behind closed doors today or simply co-parenting with grace, one thing is clear. They gave us something television rarely delivers: truth wrapped in chaos, pain wrapped in hope, and a reminder that even when everything explodes, pieces can still come back together stronger. So now it's your turn to weigh in. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Are you Team Rasheeda all the way, believing she deserved better and should have stayed gone? Or are you rooting for the comeback, convinced that love like theirs deserves every chance to heal? Do you think Mendices crossed a line, or was he the push Rasheeda needed to finally see clearly? Tell me your honest take, no filter, no holding back. I read every single comment, and the wildest, most passionate ones always get hearted. If this roller coaster of a story had you glued to your screen, if it made you scream, cry, cheer, or rethink your own relationships, smash the like button so the algorithm knows we need more real talk like this. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because trust me, the love and hip-hop universe never runs out of twists, and the next big meltdown, redemption, or reunion could drop any day. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for riding this wild ride with me from the explosive hook to the quiet, earned happily ever after, or at least happily for now. Your energy in the comments keeps these deep dives alive. So go ahead, tell me everything you're feeling about Kirk, Rasheeda, Mendices, the whole Frost saga. Let's talk about it. I'll see you in the comments. Peace, love, and all the drama.